I've tested around 100 pickleball paddles now, and when it comes to raw powers, a few paddles stood out way above the rest. In this video, I'm gonna share the top 5 power paddles of 2025 that absolutely crush the ball, but still give you some control and spin you need to win. We'll start with the best budget paddle under $100, moving up through the $200 range, and then finishing with the best power paddle that I believe in 2025. First, let's talk about the best power paddle under $100, which is the Rhombus Quanta. Now, when I first tested the Rhombus Quanta, I wasn't expecting much because it arrived in a smaller mailer, but once I picked it up, I realized it felt alive in my hand. It has that perfect balance of power and control that's rare under $100. Now, truthfully, the paddle is $119, but after you use the code RCB Pickleballer, you get $20 off. That brings this below $100. In fact, in one of my test sessions, I've won so many games with this paddle that it's starting to climb up the ranks to one of my main paddles. The EPP foam core and thermoformed construction make drive explode off the face, but the sweet spot is also still forgiving enough for resets and drops. The spin also really stands out. You can actually hear the carbon face bite the ball. I played with paddles that cost twice as much and didn't get this kind of performance. You can also definitely add weight to the sides and the top because this paddle only weighs around 7.6 ounces when it's coming in its stock form. Now, if you're looking for a budget-friendly paddle that still gives you elite level power, the Rhombus Quanta is hands down the best option in my opinion under $100. Before I go to the next paddle, if this video is helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel as it's always encouraging to me as I put out new content almost every single week. Now, I would say the best power paddle under $200 is the Honolulu J2NF, which really took me by surprise. I can confidently say that this paddle offers some of the best controlled power I've ever experienced. Some of the later paddles on this list feel like wild stallions that I can't necessarily control, but Honolulu uses what they call notch foam core, which gives the paddle a crisper, snappier response off a face. It's not just power for power's sake, it's lively, quick, and extremely responsive. When I played with it, I noticed how easy it was to attack volleys or drive serves deep, but I still felt connected on touch shots. It's also incredibly consistent. The power comes with feedback and control, not randomness. For players who want a paddle under $200 that gives like that top-notch, top-tier carbon model feel, the J2NF should absolutely be on your list. And with a 10% discount code, BPickleballer, it's even cheaper. And I included a link in the description if you want to check it out. In the third place, I would argue that the Gearbox GX2 Power is a paddle that completely changed my mind about Gearbox paddles. Now, when I first tested the paddle, I tested across about 4 or 5 different Gearbox paddles, and it was hard to put this paddle down. I had some of the very most powerful, crisp, consistent shots with this paddle. Now, this paddle comes with a lot of research and development and really cool technology. And in play, it just makes this paddle feels ridiculously powerful and stable. Now, at around 8 ounces, it has enough heft for plow through without slowing down your hand. My drives and backhand flicks came off the face hot and the spin held tight in the lines. This paddle felt like a mix between the Eula Perseus and Engage Innovation, both top tier paddles, and it's definitely one of the top 3 power paddles out there. Now, I believe this paddle is generally in the $250 to $300 range, and I'm gonna link in the description below to get 10% off this paddle. Coming in at number 2 is the Eula Ben Johns Pro 4, which has become my go-to for maximum power. From the first serve, it felt like a different level of paddle. My shots to the back corner hit harder, and I started seeing more shallow returns than ever. When I let a friend try this paddle, he crushed shot more than he'd ever done before and ended up buying his own paddle that same week. The sweet spot on this paddle is massive, and what really separates it is how it combines that insane power with phenomenal spin. My dinks and third shot drops were cleaner than almost any other paddle I've played with. It's also one of those paddles where you can feel the energy transfer every drive that jumps off the face. If you want a tour level power without losing finesse, the Eula Pro 4 is an absolute monster. Now, for me, this also feels like a wild stallion, meaning that it has that power and spin that is amazing, but sometimes I have some difficulty controlling that paddle. I don't have a discount code for this paddle, but you can check the link in the description for the latest price. Drum roll please, the best overall power paddle in 2025, I believe is no surprise to many, it's the Selkirk Boomstick. This paddle delivers the kind of power that makes you grin match to match. Every serve, every overhead, every drive, it just explodes off the face. I had a friend recently try a lot of my power paddles and he keeps coming back to this paddle just because of how special this paddle is. The extended 5.75 inch handle gives you incredible leverage for two-handed backhands, and the quad carbon technology helps generate insane pop without sacrificing control. In my playtest, I noticed how easily I could pressure my opponents from the baseline. I didn't have to overswing, the paddle did the work for me. Now, what I like most is that despite being the hardest hitting paddle I've used, it still has great touch on drops and dinks, which is something most power paddles I feel like completely lose, and I definitely felt like I had more control with this paddle over the Eula Ben Johns Pro 4. If you want to experience what true elite level power feels like in 2025, the Selkirk Boomstick is in a class of its own. Now, finally, this paddle is not cheap as it's generally over $300, but check out the link in my description for the most up-to-date pricing. So finally, each of these paddles offers something unique. Now, the Rhombus Quanta proves you don't need to spend big for real power. The Honolulu J2NF gives you precision with punch. The Gearbox GX2 Power delivers elite tech and clean feel. The Eula Pro 4 blends raw power with spin, and the Selkirk Boomstick redefines what top-end power looks like. If you like this video and want to see other videos, please consider liking and subscribing. I post detailed paddle breakdowns as much and as often as possible. Comment below which paddle that you're playing with right now and what gives you the most power on the court. Thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great day.